Well, that was a kind of happy intro for this video. Today, I just bought my first bottle of alcohol in over a decade. When Mama Pepper and I first got together, I was definitely a drunkard. And after our first wedding anniversary at the end of 2008, I finally quit drinking. It had been about a decade of heavy alcohol use. And when we were trying to get together, you know, she was mostly young and naive. I should have been the worst thing that ever happened to her with who I was. I was toxic. I was definitely not a beneficial thing to have in your life at that point because of just all my selfish, sinful, drunken, drug-related, immoral activities. And I realized, you know, if you read in Galatians, when we got together, I went to a church to get married, and then heard the gospel, and then found one to be the foundation of our marriage. Found someone to love more than each other, which is our Creator, Savior. If you read in Galatians, it says, well, actually, 1 Corinthians, says, you know, do not be deceived. It says, you know, drunkards, lists a lot of other things too, but it says drunkards will not inherit the kingdom of God. And despite whatever I may confess with my mouth, if I live my life in a way that he says, you're not getting in when you're a slave to sin, when you claim I freed you from it, I finally got to the point where I couldn't live in denial anymore. The ignorance had been removed and the defiance was not working, so I needed deliverance. I needed to be freed from it. And after our first wedding anniversary, I dumped everything in the house into me pretty much. A little of the harder stuff, it was, you know, one for me, one for the sink. But I drank the beers, drank the harder stuff. I wound up on the bathroom floor once again. I don't know how much of my life I've spent on the bathroom floor, but it's a foolish amount. And eventually it got to the point where it was going to start seriously affecting my next day of work. And I fell to my knees in the hallway and I said, Lord, if I can learn a lesson from this, let me slumber. But if the lesson's been missed, let me suffer. Was if I didn't get the point, drive it home, but let this end tonight. I can't do it on my own. When I lived in New Orleans, I wound up in some trouble in Florida. I was facing some time, and they wound up giving me an option of pre-trial diversion. And I had to do a number of things to qualify for it, but one of them was to stay sober. And I couldn't do it. Like, how weak of an individual do you have to be? Or how stupid? To think it's a good idea to go smoke something or go drink something when it means that you're going to be locked in a cage for years. Well, however stupid or weak you have to be, that's exactly how I was. Because I couldn't do it on my own. I could not resist the temptation. I had all the encouragement this world had to offer. And I failed. I gave in every time. Thankfully, I faked my way through it and never had to serve any time. I know who I became on the streets. I would hate to think who I would have become if I would have really entered the prison system. But that night it ended. I cried out to him for help. He gave me the power that I didn't have. He wanted me sober. He told me I had to clean up and he'd be there to help if I'd let him, but I had to cry out to him for the help. So I waited a month, I had a beer. I waited another month and I had a beer. You see, I didn't want to be a drunkard. The easiest way to not be a drunkard is to not get drunk. So I'd have a beer once a month, and then I said, what's the point? But today, I was driving home from the store, and I drove past the liquor store. I've never even been there since it opened. But now they have one near us, and it's open on Sunday now. They didn't used to do that either. So I pulled in there and bought my first bottle of alcohol in over a decade. I know that some people would be concerned, especially with it being, vodka was one of the ones I liked a lot before. But I think it's what I need at this point in my life. Because we've got a lot of things we've got to accomplish. And just moving out in the country doesn't protect you from all that the world has to offer as far as the bad things. So as far as different viruses or ailments or sicknesses, there's a whole world available to us of wonderful natural medicines that we really don't have much experience with. So we've been talking for a while about finally getting to the point that we make tinctures and actually take, whether it's mullein, yarrow, mimosa flowers, there's so many different things, and actually start making our own tinctures. So just got some 100 proof vodka, 1.75 liters, pretty cheap. I remember why I used to like it so much. And we're gonna be able to start making our own tinctures. So I'll let Mama Pepper share a little bit about, wait a minute. I thought I got 100 proof. Must have grabbed the wrong bottle. 100 proof is better. 80 proof will work. I think I might go swap out bottles quick and then turn it over to Mama Pepper. So at the liquor store, they don't exactly do exchanges, but I did get some 100 proof vodka instead. So we're gonna use this one. So Papa got me this bottle of vodka, and it's been a while since I've been talking about making tinctures for quite a few years, and I just haven't, I don't know, just getting this bottle is kind of difficult. I've never actually bought a bottle of vodka in my whole life, and so getting to that point is a little bit difficult. It's not easy to do, when you go grocery shopping, it's not an aisle I feel comfortable going in. So we finally got it, and I'd like to experiment trying my first tinctures. I'd like to try some lemon balm because we have it available. I'd also really like to try to use the flowers from the toothache plant to make a tincture with that. I hear that it's very good for coughs and things like that. So I'm really excited about that. I know it takes a few weeks to make the tinctures, and some maybe a few days. So I'm going to do a little bit more research and try to get started on that. But that'll be the first time starting this and trying this here on our homestead. So, and getting into just preserving the plants. We can have our plants for a little while, but if we make them in tincture form, we can make their medicinal properties, last longer on our shelf, as to having our plant die over the winter, or different things like that we can
try to preserve it and use it for, you know, I've heard that even up to 5 years it could last in the jar, or some say it'll last indefinitely in there. So we'll see. We'll give it a try and we'll let you guys know how it turns out. So the other thing I wanted to share with you guys is that last night I canned my first carp, and so I'm super excited about that. I've never done fish before. The first thing I ever did was venison, and that turned out awesome. I love the meat, and the kids love it. Dad loves it. It's awesome, but this is my first time doing the carp. I did it last night. I had a really bad headache, and I was tired, but I got through it and canned this carp, and actually Bugger was there with me. We were doing it, you know, together, but we'll see. We're gonna try it out and see what it tastes like. And you know, Papa, I was thinking last night, I stayed up a little bit late to try to get this canned. It's a little bit hard to do with the kids awake, but Papa has to go through a lot of work to get this fish, and I didn't really realize what he's got to do to catch this fish so I can can it. But he has to go out at nighttime and you know, shoot the fish in some cold water, and it's cold and clothes is all wet, and he's deep in there at night with a flashlight. And so I thought about, you know, the fact that I had to stay up and can this at nighttime, and I'd rather stay at home and can this and learn how to do the canning process rather than go in the cold water at night with the flashlight not knowing what's around me. So thanks, Dad, for all of your effort as well. You know, this is not just a can that you see here. There's a lot of work, you know, on Papa's side, on my side, you know, family side. And so all around, it's been, you know, a work together to put this in a jar and preserve it for our family, you know, for a lot longer than putting it, you know, if we put it in our freezer or whatever else other process you might use, you know, having it in the can just makes it a lot more easier to have ready. And, you know, if your freezer goes down, you got other options. So that's another important thing to think about. You know, you can put your fish in the freezer, but having it readily available and just having other options for yourself and preserving is a really big thing. And so that's something that Papa and I have really gotten into, just trying to learn how to preserve our meat in canning or other foods as well. But we're starting out, and I'm so glad. I'm super excited, guys. I'm thankful to have this, just this other option to put on our shelf, and, you know, bless my family in that as well. And it's awesome. So if you guys are interested in, you know, canning, you know, some people think it's difficult, it's hard, it's, I don't know, whatever you might think. If you have a fear of canning, I was a little bit afraid as well, but, you know, trying it, practicing, you know, have a friend to help you out, check out how to do it. It's pretty simple. I can't believe, you know, how simple it is to just put the meat in here and, you know, watch the pressure canner can this. So guys, if you're interested in figuring out how we get this into these cans, well, jars mostly, but let us know in the comments below, and we can make a separate video on going through Dad shooting the carp to the canning process and how we help out doing this together. So
So, Pinky, what do you got going on there?
I picked some lemon balm.
You picked all that lemon balm, and where do we find it?
Out in the woods.
Out in the woods. I don't know if that's been naturalized here, or if it's native, or if it escaped from somebody's garden or what. But that is a ton of lemon balm. We're hoping it's enough for Mom, because she wants to start off her tincturing with some lemon balm tincture. And we have some growing here on the property, both a green and a gold version. But it's young and it's just getting established, so if we can go find all of this for free in the wild. And how did you harvest it to make sure it stay alive?
Pinch it off at the end.
Yeah, so she just pinched them off. We leave a couple leaves farther down, and it'll keep regrowing from the roots. It'll have some leaves left to support those roots, and then they'll grow up from there. All right, that's awesome. So Pinky Pepper and I spent a little bit of time out in the woods nearby. A lot of wild garlic out there. So I did grab some more, some of it to use, and then some of it, yeah, guineas, to transplant here on our property. And the cool thing is, in the past 5 years, since we've been harvesting and enjoying it, it's actually doing better out in its natural environment than when I first moved here. There's a lot more of it. You can find it in a lot more areas. It's thicker. It's cool because these guys will send up little babies, bulblets, I guess, and we always crumble those, sprinkle those around where you find them growing to make sure they're replanted, and then at the end of like sometime in June or July, you can actually grab the stems and just pull them up, and the whole little bulb pops out with them. So pretty cool to have that. We want to get more established here on the property. Another thing we found was this cute little lizard. Did somebody already pick the tick?
Yeah.
Oh, I've got this, looks like a female 5-line skink, and it had a tick in its armpit. You know, a lot of people are rather familiar with some of the parasites. Like if you find a turtle, a lot of times they'll have leeches on their shell, usually on the bottom, on the, the carapace? Plastron carapace? Yeah, but they'll have a lot of leeches sometimes, or in their armpits too, where if you look inside their shell, they'll have big leeches on their inner thighs or something like that, and a lot of people will remove them. It can be just as easy as pouring salt on it and letting them hop off, or, you know, actually pulling them off. Sometimes we'll use those for fishing bait, but we like to, when we encounter an animal like that with the parasite, yeah, the parasite has a job to do and a life to live too, but a lot of times we'll kind of relieve the animal of its burden and then release it. And then same thing with lizards. A lot of people don't realize lizards get ticks. So when we find them, if you look in the armpits, a lot of times there are little ticks in there and stuff. So we like to release them and let them go. Over here, we got a handful of snakes too. A lot of people don't like the snakes in our area. These are all harmless. We've got a couple of little beautiful ringneck snakes, which are kind of an olive or gray colored snake, a nice little ringer on its neck, and then they've got beautiful orange bellies that go kind of to a red tip of the tail. A lot of times snakes around here just get killed. So we're gonna let these go in the garden. And then we did get a couple of northern water snakes, or midland water snakes too, Nerodia cypodon. They are just beautiful, harmless little water snakes that we think are pretty cool. So I'm going to take a couple photographs of these guys and then let them actually go in our pond and become part of the ecosystem here. Those will let go up in the garden. Sometimes they'll eat worms, but they do eat other insects and small things that can be a garden pest, so we're going to get them up there. We'll get these going, and then we got that whole bag of lemon balm for Mama Peppers, so she's going to be excited about that. That was going to be the first tincture she tried out, and then we've got a lot of other things on our property in the surrounding area that we can start making tinctures out of too.
so Papa and Pinky Pepper harvested this, and wow, huh. I was thinking like 2 handfuls for doing a tincture, but they went above and beyond, so thanks Papa and Pinky. So anyway, today we're just going to be talking about the tinctures, and you know, why do you even want to make a tincture? You know, why not just keep the plant like this in its original form and just eat it that way? When you do a tincture, you know, your 100 proof vodka here is going to extract the medicinal properties out of this plant, and you're going to get a much more, you know, potent medicine from that end. So that's why we're going to look into doing this. And you know, you can have your plant and, you know, it's going to wither and die, you know, when the time comes. And if you do your tinctures, you can have your tincture, you know, your medicine in your bottle and have it for many years. You know, some people say you can keep it in and it'll be good indefinitely. So it's interesting to think, guys, that with using the 100 proof vodka, you know, and how it extracts the medicinal properties out of these plants. This is the lemon balm. You are going to be using, you know, a few drops at a time out of these bottles that you preserve, versus, you know, eating, you know, more of a plant. You're really gonna extend the shelf life of your plant by tincturing, you know, with the vodka. I know that you can also do a glycerin if you have small children, and some people prefer that. So it's amazing, just these simple things that you can do on your homestead, wherever you are, even, you know, if you live in an apartment or wherever you live, you know, that you can be doing these kind of things to preserve your plants and, you know, get the medicinal properties out of them to use for coughs. You know, if you need to use it for sleep deprivation, whatever it might be, constipation, chest congestion, you know, it'll come in really good handy to have these kind of things readily available for your family. And, you know, you never know what you might need it, you know, when you might need it. So it's great that you can make these things at home, you know, instead of having to run to the pharmacy to get, you know, take some pills or some other type of medicine that you know, may have other things, side effects, or, you know, things that you may not want in your body. You know, you're kind of making your own things yourself, and you're, you know, it's a learning process. And if you can do it yourself, you know, why not give it a try and learn a few things of the, you know, different plants that are around you and use what you got where you are. I think it's an awesome thing to get into and experiment with, and I get really excited pretty easily with this kind of stuff, you know, making different things. So we're gonna give it a shot and see how it goes. But as well from this lemon balm, you can, you know, some of the things that it helps with is it helps with chest congestion, and, you know, helps you relax. It helps with anxiety. What are some other things? I think sleep deprivation and colds and coughs. There's a list of things that this is very helpful for. And so that's the other awesome thing about just herbs, plants, you know, is that you can get so many different things out of just that one plant, and you can use it. Has so many uses around your home with your family. So I'm really excited, and I can't wait to start my first batch. So basically what I'm going to do to make this tincture for lemon balm is I'm going to get a quart jar, and I'm going to wash this first, you know, rinse it off, wash it off, dry it, just dry it up a little bit, and then I'm going to put it in a quart jar, and I'm going to fill it up pretty good, and then I'm going to, not all the way to the top, you know, just before you get to the rim there, and then I'm going to use the vodka, and I'm going to make sure that it's all covered all of the plant is covered and underneath the vodka, and then I'm going to just cover it with a lid, and I'm going to put it in a dark cool place for a few weeks and shake it up once every day or a couple times every day. And that is pretty much your tincture in a nutshell.
A good guy for our garden?
Yeah.
Does it help eat bugs?
Yeah.
He's beautiful too, those nice yellow legs. Wow, what a guy. Thanks for showing me, Bugger. Check this guy out up in the strawberries right now. Three-toed box turtle. There's a lot of them around here. And they would eat strawberries too if they were ripe. They are omnivores, so they eat both plants and little creatures, living things, but they actually prefer to eat moving things. So they may eat ants or slugs or worms or different creepy crawlies we could find around our garden. So if they get to the point where their preference of eating live things is over and they've already eaten all the living things like that they could, and they get to the point that they're eating our fruit, our strawberries or other things, then all that means is they're getting a reward for doing a good job and cleaning all of the pests out. So part of our organic pest control posse. I love finding these and seeing these on our property. What cool creatures. Yeah, you can go back to work. So guys, like a lot of things, things that can be abused can also be used. In this case, you know, I'm not going back to the bottle. I enjoy my freedom. I enjoy not needing that on a daily basis. I'm glad that my Savior, my God, can take care of those things and get me through the day without me needing to crawl into a bottle. There was actually a time in my life I was considering getting a tattoo of a little man with dreads trapped inside a bottle because it's exactly who I was. But I'm free from that now, but we're going to be using it, not abusing it. And we'll let you guys kind of know how these tinctures work out. But there's mullein and yarrow and all sorts of different things we can be using that we're excited about. What do you got there, child?
Some flowers I got for my birthday from my friend.
So a friend gave you some Alaska Shasta daisies and a flower blend, huh?
Yeah, a wildflower mix.
So you're wondering where you can plant those?
Yeah.
I think you can do it right out here by these hollyhocks.
Okay.
Alright.
Yeah.
And over time we'll get you guys your own gardening areas too. We just got a lot more wild to tame before we're there.
Yeah.
What thoughtful presents though from your friend, huh?
Yeah.